What's wrong with you? You're too egotistical. You think you're a god. You are far.
I look at Jimmy, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying this. I look at Jimmy and I go, bro, I can do what he does and better and more. I can though. It's true though, bro.
He's built a 500-person team.
Most groups or all groups, there's always like a Harry Styles, or you know, in One Direction, or a Beyonce in Destiny's Child. You could argue that I am that of the
KSI leaving the Sidemen was supposed to be a huge moment. Instead, it immediately turned into a controversy.
So this is what the Sidemen were holding KSI back from. Yeah, you can see in his eyes that he is exactly where he wants to be in life. No, he's not that old, but is this the YouTube equivalent of like a midlife crisis?
I feel like, yeah, that KSI leaving the Sidemen will ultimately backfire on him, you know, like...
KSI is leaving the Sidemen. Your thoughts on this?
I'm not gonna lie, how is the BBC putting that on the news, bro? Like, KSI left the Sidemen, that's so funny, bro. What's the Sidemen? It's the Raj, bro.
I'm disappointed in your team and the people around you, man. How and why they thought it would be a good idea for you to enter the ring looking like that is beyond me, man. It was embarrassing. Have they no shame, or are they there just to massage your ego while you're still...
For years, the Sidemen have been one of the most successful groups on YouTube. They've survived controversies, changing trends, and nearly a decade of internet drama. Most people assumed that if someone ever left, it would happen with a proper goodbye. That isn't what happened. When KSI announced he was stepping away, the reaction online was immediate, not because people were shocked that he eventually left. A lot of fans had actually expected it someday. The problem was how it happened. Almost instantly, viewers started noticing something strange. Several members of the Sidemen looked just as surprised as everyone else, and that's where the backlash started.
I have seen the news that has just been dropped. I didn't know that video was going out now, so I'm expecting a lot of people...
Many fans believed the group would have planned something together, a farewell video, a final challenge, some kind of celebration. Instead, it looked like everyone was trying to process the announcement in real time. That perception only grew stronger after the Sidemen released their own statement. Their message made one thing very clear. This wasn't how they wanted things to happen. According to the statement, they would have preferred a proper send-off, time to prepare, time to celebrate everything they had built together. Instead, KSI announced it before everyone had agreed on how the news would be shared. And for many viewers, that completely changed the conversation, because now people weren't debating whether KSI should leave. They were debating whether he blindsided his own friends. Then things got even worse. As the discussion exploded online, older clips started resurfacing, and many of them painted a very different picture of KSI.
Always like a Harry Styles, you know, in One Direction, or a Beyonce in Destiny's Child. You could argue I am that of the Sidemen.
At one point, KSI compared himself to the Beyonce of the Sidemen. On its own, that's a funny comment. But when people already think there's tension behind the scenes, suddenly comments like that get viewed differently. Every joke starts sounding serious, every old clip gets re-examined, and every comment becomes evidence. That's exactly what happened here. Then viewers started focusing on something else, KSI's ego. One of the biggest criticisms online right now is that KSI seems increasingly obsessed with comparisons. Comparisons to the Sidemen.
Is that I'm going to overtake them in views and subs eventually. And
how many? I mean, who does the?
I have overtaken them in views last month.
But when you say the boys, I mean, who are the big content creators?
Sidemen.
Yeah, I know, but Harry doesn't really make.
No, as the group.
Oh, you're outperforming the Sidemen.
I'm outperforming the Sidemen.
Comparisons to iShowSpeed.
Yeah, Speed what's down the road.
iShowSpeed as a person is more famous.
And I disagree.
Sure.
Like, it's like, okay, who do you think's more famous? Me or Speed?
Speed, mate.
You're mental, bro.
I'm sorry.
You know,
this
like,
new generation.
You're
Speed.
You're just living in this bubble.
What are you on about? I'm sorry, mate. Like,
you know, yesterday, like, you know, he's the president of UK Ballers.
Sure.
So ballers themselves said we're bringing in a guest next week, which clears any previous talent.
Speed.
Yeah.
Comparisons to Mr. Beast.
Yeah, but I mentioned the Sidemen boys. I'm gonna get more subscribers than Sidemen, and I'm also gonna get more views than Sidemen. So I've got more views than Sidemen in a month. So now I just need to get more subscribers. Yeah. And then it's just keep it up, and then it's like, all right, cool. I'm looking at Speed now. I need to try and get more views than Speed. Yeah. And I need to get more.
You're on smoke.
Yeah. And then after Speed, who's next? Yeah. Until I get to Jimmy. And then it's like, yeah, me and Jimmy going back to back.
Congrats on the views, bro. You said that you would get how many in a month?
I say I'll get over 100 million.
And you did it.
And I did it, yeah.
With like 6 days to spare.
Yeah. Lots of days to spare. Yeah. Thank you, man.
100 million in a month.
Yeah. So now I think for me, it's like, all right, I want to make sure I get that in long form views. So right now, long form, I'm about 40 mil.
Okay.
Yeah. So I want to try and get to
So
100.
60 of that is made up from short.
Well, I mean, I can see, but
get the bragging out and stuff.
No.
I did ask though. I did ask.
Bro, I love stats. It's just
because you got good ones. That's why people that have bad stats don't like stats. You know, they will say, "Hey, stats, man, it's just numbers on the paper, man." So but when it's good stats, let's see.
For May, I got about 148 million on just shorts views. Yeah. And then video views is about 38.9.
And while competition isn't necessarily a bad thing, people started questioning why he kept bringing it up publicly, especially when the people involved were supposed to be his friends.
I can though. It's true though. Bro,
he's built a 500-person team of killers.
I know, but I can do that as well. But I'm talking about him himself.
I love the optimism.
He's a host, but I can also be more than just a host. Like I can be a person that gets involved with YouTubes. I can show more personality. I can get
the only issue
more
I heard
involved.
this right. Apparently, he doesn't want to have too much personality in his videos because the second you have too much personality, you put off other people. there's certain people that won't like you. You know, like some people will go, I love KSI, I fucking hate him. You almost have to be a little bit more bland.
You're already too much of a disturbance.
Yeah.
Nah, but then
in a good way.
I want to be the guy that can get 100 million without having to be a robot.
But that's
okay. I'm very excited to see it.
Okay.
I implore you to do it.
Yeah, I invite you to do it, and I will enjoy watching.
Okay.
But I think it's an incredible challenge, and I think what he's done is actually super impressive. And
no, of course, no. I'm not trying to shit on him.
But I think it's impossible to replicate as a personality-driven channel or creator.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think they're two different boxes. These are two different boxes.
Proving people wrong.
Yeah, I know you do, and I hope you do, and I hope you do. And
I want you to.
I look forward to bumping your channel up and seeing 100 million views on a video.
Because once viewers start believing someone sees every relationship as a competition, every statement sounds different, and that's where the speculation really took off. Then came the podcast clips.
A long form, about 40 mil.
Okay.
Yeah. So I want to try and get to
So
100.
60 of that is made up from short.
Well, I mean, I can see, but
get the bragging out.
This is where a lot of fans started feeling uncomfortable, because KSI wasn't just talking about his own success. He was openly comparing himself to the Sidemen, talking about overtaking them, getting more views than them, getting more subscribers than them. And while some people saw it as confidence, others saw something completely different. To them, it sounded like KSI was trying to separate himself from the very group that helped build his career. At this point, viewers started asking a bigger question. Has KSI changed? Because older clips paint a very different picture.
These boys grow into incredible men. I've watched these guys grow into fathers. I've watched them grow into husbands.
Years ago, KSI openly criticized the numbers-focused side of YouTube. He talked about how exhausting it was, how chasing trends made content feel like a chore, how he wanted to make videos he actually enjoyed. But that's exactly why people find the current situation so confusing, because the content he's making now seems to represent the very thing he once criticized. And that's where the conversation shifted again, because this stopped being about leaving the Sidemen. Now it was about what KSI was becoming.
Mr. Beast at a time where everyone is kind of sick of Mr. Beast. This overstimulating, oversaturated, numbers above everything style of content, this corporate slop, entertains very small babies, entertains 7-year-olds with unrestricted internet access. It's not going to build the audience loyalty that the Sidemen have built over many, many years, and it's only going to erode the loyalty that KSI has from his audience. Because he's not doing this because it's the content he wants to make, because it's what he dreams of doing, because it's what he enjoys. He's doing it because a marketing team said it.
A growing number of viewers believe he's trying to copy a formula that no longer works. Fast-paced content, constant stimulation, views above everything else. The type of videos many audiences are already growing tired of, and that's created a strange situation. KSI is bigger than ever, but at the same time, some of the strongest criticism of his career is happening right now. The most interesting part is that almost nobody seems to disagree on one thing. People always felt the Sidemen kept KSI grounded. Whenever a controversial idea appeared, there were 6 other people around him to push back.
Right over there. Come get the 5 layers. 25 layers. Oh!
So this is what the Sidemen were holding KSI back from. Yeah, you can see in his eyes that he is exactly where he wants to be in life. No, he's not that old, but is this the YouTube equivalent of like a midlife crisis?
Even members of the group have talked about situations where they stopped ideas from moving forward, and that's why some viewers are worried. Not because KSI left, but because they think the people most willing to challenge him are no longer around. Right now, nobody knows exactly what happens next. Maybe this becomes one of the best decisions of his career. Maybe it doesn't. But what is clear is that the reaction has been overwhelmingly negative. Not because people hate KSI, quite the opposite. A lot of viewers grew up watching him. They watched the Sidemen become one of YouTube's biggest success stories, and that's exactly why this situation feels so strange. Because for many fans, the Sidemen always represented 7 friends building something together. This new direction feels very different, and unless KSI can convince people there's a bigger plan behind all of this, the criticism probably isn't going away anytime soon.
Feel real. The Sidemen have been such a huge part of my life for over 12, 13 years. Together we've done things I never...
At this point, the discussion had moved far beyond the original announcement. People weren't just asking why KSI left anymore. They were asking something much bigger. What happens when KSI doesn't have the Sidemen around him? And surprisingly, a lot of viewers already thought they knew the answer, because there were multiple examples of the Sidemen stopping ideas before they ever became public.
It's gone so far down the line, and then last minute you've got, this just isn't going to work. We need to sack this.
NFTs.
NFTs.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
This was KSI in his KSI crypto era. JJ thought it was the best idea, and then the other guys were like unsure, and I was like, I will not let this happen. So I had to like do a detailed breakdown of every reason why.
One of the biggest examples came from KSI's NFT phase. Back when NFTs were exploding online, KSI apparently believed launching a Sidemen NFT project was a great idea. Problem? The rest of the group didn't agree. According to the people involved, several members pushed back heavily against the idea. Some even said they had to actively convince everyone why it was a terrible move. Looking back now, that decision probably saved them from a massive amount of backlash, and that's exactly why viewers keep bringing it up, because it creates an uncomfortable question. How many other bad decisions never happened because the Sidemen stopped them? Nobody actually knows. But people online have become convinced that the group played a much bigger role in keeping things balanced than most fans realized. And honestly, it isn't a completely unreasonable argument. When you're surrounded by 6 people willing to challenge your ideas, it's much harder to go off the rails. Someone tells you no, someone points out the flaws, someone stops you before things become a disaster. But once those voices disappear, things can change very quickly. That's why some viewers are worried, not because KSI left, but because they think he may have lost the people most willing to disagree with him. And if that's true, the timing of everything happening right now starts looking very different. Then another theory started spreading online, and this is where things got much more controversial.
Is honestly the hardest video I've ever had to make in my life. But after a lot of thought, I've decided that I will be no longer
because some viewers weren't convinced KSI accidentally created this backlash. They believed he wanted it. The theory itself was simple. KSI understands the internet better than almost anyone. He's been doing YouTube for over a decade. He's survived controversies. He's survived cancellations. He's survived multiple reinventions. The idea that he accidentally blindsided everyone seemed unlikely to some people. Instead, they argued that the surprise was intentional, that the confusion was intentional, that the backlash itself was intentional, because controversy creates attention, and attention creates views. Now, to be clear, there is absolutely no proof of that. It's just a theory that gained traction online. But the fact that people are even discussing it shows how much trust has been damaged.
Comfortable. Sitting back, looking at my life and going, oh man, I smashed it. Me, that's so boring.
Yeah, but there is like...
I'm thinking about my children and my children's children and my children's children.
But
if I said they were fine years ago and then I'm here in this position, I'd be broke.
I'm going to drop a gem on you real quick. When you have children, yeah, and they're growing up, they're not going to remember, oh, dad was so good. All he did was work constantly and all he did was fly to American Club. They'll care about, oh, he helped
Because once audiences start assuming everything is calculated, every action becomes suspicious, every upload becomes strategic, every apology becomes strategic, every statement becomes strategic, and suddenly nobody believes anything is happening naturally anymore. Then something else surfaced, something involving Deji, and that's when the conversation took another turn.
I'm disappointed in your team and the people around you, man. How and why they thought it would be a good idea for you to enter the ring looking like that is beyond me, man. It was embarrassing. Have they no shame, or are they there just to massage your ego while you're still paying them?
For years, Deji and KSI have had a complicated relationship. They've supported each other, they've fought publicly, they've reconciled, and they've repeated that cycle more than once. But because of everything happening right now, viewers started revisiting old clips involving Deji, particularly clips where he criticized KSI's personality, comments about ego.
What's wrong with you? You're too egotistical. You think you're a god. You are far.
Normally those clips would have been ignored. Timing changes everything. Suddenly people were treating those old statements like warnings, like evidence, like proof that some of these problems existed long before the Sidemen announcement. Whether that's fair or not is debatable. People change, relationships change, circumstances change. But once audiences begin building a timeline in their heads, old clips become incredibly powerful because they make the current controversy feel larger, less like an isolated incident, and more like part of a continuing story. But the most damaging criticism wasn't actually about the Sidemen. It wasn't about the statement. It wasn't about the podcast clips. And it wasn't even about Deji. It was about what KSI is doing now. Because as people started discussing his departure, they also started looking at the content he's been making recently. And for a lot of viewers, they didn't like what they saw. The reaction online has been surprisingly consistent. Many fans feel like KSI has moved away from the content that made people care about him in the first place. And that's where things become awkward. Because years ago, KSI openly criticized this exact approach to YouTube. At one point, KSI talked about how much he disliked chasing trends, how exhausting it was constantly trying to stay relevant, how YouTube started feeling more like a job than something he genuinely enjoyed. He spoke about authenticity, making content because you wanted to make it, not because an algorithm demanded it. And that's why people keep bringing those clips back up. Because when they compare that version of KSI to the current version, the difference feels enormous. And that's why the Sidemen situation became such a perfect storm. On its own, leaving the group wouldn't have created this level of backlash. People leave groups all the time. Creators evolve. Careers change. That part isn't unusual. The problem is, everything else happened at the same time. The awkward announcement, the surprise reactions, the podcast clips, the ego accusations, the old AG comments, the resurfaced interviews, the content criticism, all of it combined into one giant conversation. And suddenly KSI wasn't just defending a decision, he was defending his entire image.
That's what? 10 years, I can count how many times I've seen my parents. It just put a load of things into perspective because I can't keep going on like this forever. Because I mean, if I just work, and don't stop, don't find time for my family, you know, things will suffer. You know, and I'll look back and be like, I did all this work, you know, made all this money, but what do I have to show for it? A missus that hardly ever gets to see me. I've got a family that hardly ever gets to see me. So yeah, I'm just working on
That's what makes this situation so interesting, because KSI is still incredibly successful. He's still one of the biggest creators in the UK. He's still getting millions of views. He's still building businesses. He's still relevant. But despite all of that, the public perception around him seems to be changing. And once public perception starts moving, it can be very difficult to stop. But that's just what people online are saying. Do you think KSI made the right decision leaving the Sidemen? Or do you think this eventually backfires on him? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe for daily YouTube drama, creator controversies, and internet stories. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.